Hey everyone, Lauren here, the social media manager with Paul, the last apostle. And we are going to be trying to bring on Ulises. We had a few technical difficulties all go. So hopefully, fingers crossed, prayers sent, Ulises will be joining me here very, very soon. But while we are waiting on him, I just wanted to let you know that we are so excited because the rest of this month, we are going to be having more interviews. So I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed these actor interviews so much. These guys are just amazing. The talent that we have on this show is just phenomenal. And so I am so excited. And Ulises is one of those guys. Like, I can't wait to share his biography here with you in just a moment. But the other thing that I'm really excited about is that we're going to be interviewing our production team. And our production team is also another set of amazing, talented people. So starting next Friday, you want to be tuning in with me because I'll be interviewing our photography director, Jordan Bradley. Next Friday, I'm going to be interviewing Mark Isaacs. He's one of our producers. And finally, at the end of the month, I'm going to be interviewing Santiago Ramirez Snidero. He is our director, and I am so excited about, listen, these guys are going to be making this story happen, and you don't want to miss out. So while we're waiting on Ulises to join us, I want to also share with you that to remind you that this is a crowdfunded show. So what does that mean? That means we need people just like you. Maybe you are passionate about things that are faith-based. Maybe you're passionate about getting the story of Jesus out there. Maybe you love The Chosen, or you love just anything about the Bible. I want you to be helping us fund the show. And you can do that tonight by clicking the link that's tagged below. So right now, I'm waiting on Ulises to join us. Fingers crossed, we're going to have a great connection here. And but I cannot wait to interview him. And in just a minute, I'm going to be giving his biography. And guys, this man is so talented. He's talented not only in the film business, but you'll find out he's also talented on the business side of things. And so, Ulises, I can't wait for you to join me. I've always been impressed with Ulises from anything I've ever watched him in. He's phenomenal. Ulises. Hey there, sir.
Hi, Lauren. Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you great. It's so great to see your face.
Uh, yeah, we had a bet to see how long you would go without us being able to log on
Oh,
and
did you?
watch us struggle and just kind of make stuff up, just waiting to see what happens.
Listen,
No, no, I'm kidding.
I
I'm
started over
kidding.
because I was like,
Yeah,
listen, this is going to be painful
I
if they
figured
have to
that
keep listening to me. But how are you doing, sir?
I'm
It's so great to
doing
see you.
okay. Having technical difficulties, I guess, but we're good. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. All right, we're good. You can see me, you can hear me, so we're good to
I
go. All
see
right.
you. I hear you. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
So,
Yeah, good to hear you. Good to see you. And we met once
yep.
at a meeting, but we've never actually met, so it's cool.
No. This is awesome. But you are the only guy out of all the interviews I've done I've actually met beforehand in any capacity. So
Oh,
yeah, so you are special. Because I've enjoyed just getting to see you, hear you. That's what I was sharing with everyone. Just behind the scenes, in the camera, like you are one talented guy. So before we get started, I actually want to share about your little bio. It's not little, it's actually pretty phenomenally amazing. So maybe there's some things that you're such a humble guy. As you shake your head, you're like, Lord, no. But I think that you're just a talented guy and you let the Lord use your talent. So I just want to highlight that if that's okay. So for those of you who don't know, Ulysses was born in Cuba. He's got his Paul tumbler tonight. I've got mine too. We can be sipping together. Uh, he was born in Cuba. Him and his family immigrated. They were in Spain for a little bit, but settled in Texas. And so we have so much talent from Texas, by the way. He has settled there. He has three boys by marriage, one daughter by adoption, which I would love later for me and you to touch on that. Like we can talk about it privately, but I think that's so cool. And what people might not know about Ulysses is that he is so passionate about serving and food, which you shared that came from your mom and some of your culture. And he does that now. So he has been in the restaurant business since 1979.
mhm.
2006, you opened up your own restaurant called Eating Cafe, and you've been doing this whole thing. But what I love about you, Ulysses, is that not only do you use that as your passion to share just Jesus with people, but you've turned it into film. You've got theatrical background, you've got film and TV series background. And I just want to talk about, for those of you who might not know, you've probably seen Ulysses. He's been Vic and We Are a Stranger. He has been Chaplain Vic in Breaking Strongholds. He's also been Father Murphy on Part Time, plus so many supporting actor moments. You've been nominated and won multiple awards for Best Supporting Actor, Best Actor, and VIP's Choice Finalist Award for Male Actor. So Ulysses, it's an honor to be able to just sit here with you and chat with you tonight. Before we get started on questions, I want to share one thing that you said that was so good. And I think it sums you up as a human, as a man, and just as a follower of Jesus. You said this when you shared some of your information to me. I realized what I really wanted to do was use my gifts to glorify God and help people heal from trauma and pain, as well as point them in God's direction. So I've been blessed to work in faith-based films and TV series that do just that. I see both careers, and you're talking about serving in the restaurant business and acting, as forms of serving, whether I'm cooking or acting, but I also know God is not finished with me yet.
Mm.
So Ulysses, such an honor to have you here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me to do this. I've watched your interviews with Jay and Gina and AZ and Brad, and I just don't know how much more I can add uh, to the content of what we're doing, but I'll do my best because they were all great interviews,
They
and
were.
they were one great to watch, and great to actually get to know those people a little bit more myself, because you work with them and you spend a week with them, and then everybody goes their way to their busy lives, and I didn't know a lot of things about each of them. So those interviews were awesome. So I was trying to figure out and write some notes on what I could add today that your audience and your listeners and whoever's watching could learn more about the show and our project and who we are and what our mission is. And so um, yeah, I don't know where you got all that stuff that you just mentioned, all those words. Did you use AI to create all that?
I didn't. I went off your resume you sent me.
I
You
know,
sent
I
me,
know. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I've been blessed. I've been blessed to not only have a successful restaurant career, started as a waiter in my early days in college, and my dream was always to own my own restaurant, and I achieved that in 2006. And we've had our own restaurant for 18 years. So God's blessed us there. He continues to bless us and get us through tough times. I can't tell you how many things we've gone through, including Harvey. If you know what that is, that was a hurricane that came through here and destroyed homes and businesses, and we had a second location that we lost to that. Of course, COVID did a number on everyone, including the restaurant business, and that industry suffered a lot, and we're still not over the effects of COVID.
Hmm.
Um, and just the economy is tough on small businesses, but man, I see places left and right of us closing and or having problems, and we're navigating the storm, but God is there, man. God is there. Sometimes he's asleep on the boat, and I have to wake him up and go, Lord,
Yeah.
can't you see we're sinking? And he wakes up and says, "Oh, ye of little faith," right? I mean, but it's been a great industry, and I guess I've been acting because I've been in the restaurant business my whole career, because the restaurant is a stage. I always tell my staff, it's showtime, and here's your audience, and let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, all those are words that you mentioned and stuff are great. I just it's so easy for performers to forget,
Mm.
where all our gifts come from and where everything comes from, and that we need to really focus and use that to glorify Him and Him only. And I guess um, I just want to make sure that I'm doing that at this point in my life, and that God gets the glory for everything I do, whether it's the story about Vic, which I'll tell you a little bit more about that, or anything I've done.
Yeah.
recently. I've been very blessed. I started as a young, I started as a kid acting because my parents, my dad in particular, and my grandfather on my dad's side, they were both great storytellers.
Uh-huh.
And I think I developed that desire or that wanting to tell stories. They didn't do it through media or film or theater, but still, telling stories and entertaining was always in my blood, which the restaurant business is kind of entertaining. You're entertaining people that come and not just to have a meal, but to have a good time and feel good and change their day. And we do that through show business. But the Lord deserves all the credit for everything we're doing. And I just want to make sure that if anybody takes anything away from our chat, is that, soli Deo Gloria,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the Latin for all glory to Him. All these awards and all these things are nice, and I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that it doesn't feel good for your peers to be recognized by them on the things that you're doing.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, we just can't forget. We just can't forget. So those were fun. A lot of projects, well, not a lot, but I'm lucky to have the resume that I have while I haven't been doing it full time because there's plenty of performers and fellow actors out there that have been working full time and struggling to pay bills, just counting on acting only
Hmm.
their whole careers. And I don't know, I can't imagine what that's like. My hat's off to them for
Yeah.
just completely depending 100% 7 days a week on booking a gig.
Hmm.
Um, I had the restaurant to always keep me going while I was doing this other fun thing on the side. But yeah, the lead role in We Are Stronger was something that probably refocused me after many years of not doing any performing. I started in theater in college, did a bunch of plays. It's funny how that started. I was an engineering major
Okay.
and I needed to take a fine arts credit, and there was nothing open and just an acting one class. And I said, well, I'll take that. It's just a credit. Who cares? It's probably a blow off class. And the director, the professor who was also the director of the current play, he said, "You're going to audition for the play this semester." I said, "No, Doc. Dr. Tom Little, rest in peace." I said, "No, Doc. I mean, come on. I'm just here for the 3 hours." He goes, "No, you're going to audition because if not, you're not going to get a grade." I was like, oh, "Here we go." So I auditioned, and I got the lead villain in this French play called The Mad Women of Chaillot. The rest is history. I got the bug for theater, for
Yeah.
being on stage, for performing. I had been doing it at church and as a little kid here and there, but never like that
Right.
with an ensemble of other actors and a director and production and a whole team of people and stage and props and I got the bug. But
Yeah.
when I finished my degree at the University of Houston, I had a choice. I could have gone to get my Master's of Fine Arts, or I could have gone and get a job and make a living. And I was accepted at SUNY Purchase, State University of New York, for for MFA program. They only take 20 people a year, 10 males and 10 females. I still have my letters somewhere because I kept it just for. And I was accepted on this program, and I said, okay, I need to make a decision. Here it is, the fork on the road.
Right. Right.
And the company that I was working for, a restaurant company, said, "Hey, you have a piece of paper, you have a degree, we can use you. We need to open more restaurants. So if you're ready, we're ready." And I was like, okay, do I keep going to school for
Right.
this acting thing that my parents were not crazy
I'm
about,
I'm
or
sure. I'm sure.
or do I go for a sure path with this great restaurant group here in Houston that it grew to being the whole country eventually? I think they have them in Atlanta. The Pappas family, you familiar with them?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the Pappasitos concept is where I learned the business, where I met my wife, or so many things, so many
Mhm.
years, and that changed everything, and I stopped performing
Mm.
until 2008 or nine, when at church somebody was producing a film about a um, uh, a soldier with post-traumatic stress,
Hmm.
and they thought that I would be great at it. And I took the part not really knowing what I was getting into
Right.
because PTSD was a world that I did not know anything about.
Right.
But God equips the unequipped, and
Absolutely.
He equipped all of us on this production because in 2015 we finally finished this film and we put it out there and it's got 9 million views and it's changed a ton of lives.
Mm.
And Vic was a guy that came home from Afghanistan with PTSD, and the story shows his journey trying to get back into society and repair his marriage and all these things that happen to our men and women who come back from battle and from serving and the horrible things they see
Right.
because we're not wired.
Mhm.
God didn't create us to see and
Right.
experience the things that these guys go through. And
Right.
it changed my life. It
Mhm.
changed the fabric of a lot of things that we do. To this day, I can't show you my watch, but it's on military time.
Mm.
Um, and that got the ball rolling because I saw, okay, so if we have a story on the screen, and after the movie, a veteran comes up to me and holds me and hangs on to me,
Mm.
sobbing for 45 very uncomfortable seconds because he understands that now somebody gets it and his life has been impacted by the story that somebody took the time to
Right.
tell about him. And so he's not alone and somebody understands what he's going through, his pain. Wow. So media can be powerful. Media
Yes.
can be impactful. Media can change lives. And I'd be
Yes.
standing there to my next to my screen wife, and another lady would come up and go, "Thank you, because what you did is show him what he's been doing to me for 25 years." And he's talking, and
Wow.
her husband standing next to her, just very, very, very stoic, but realizing how he's been treating her because we put that on the film.
Right.
So marriages were changed, lives were saved.
That's,
It was such an impactful experience that I said, okay, I'm going to pursue roles uh, that make a difference,
yeah.
that are, and so I prayed about that and did a few other things in between. You mentioned some of them, and then uh, Paul landed on my lap,
Yeah. So
and
tell me how did that happen? Like, did somebody reach out to you or like,
no, I started tracking because now I'm in that world and I'm
right.
looking for projects and I'm looking for work and I learned that hey, you got to stay active as an actor. You got to pursue stuff. You can't just sit there and wait for the phone to ring. And
Right.
I was tracking a casting director that I liked the things that she had been casting, Ronnie Hummel
Okay.
from Ronnie Hummel Productions here in Weatherford. Wonderful lady. I saw some of the stuff that she had cast, and I said, okay, I'm gonna follow her and see what she puts out there and put a notification for things that she's putting out. And my wife and I were on vacation with our kids, and I went up to my room just to check email. They were sleeping the nap on the beach or whatever. And I said, I'm going to go check email. And I get on my laptop and I see this notification come across for this project about Paul. I'm
Right.
like, hmm. And so I responded to her. I said, hey, I'm not home, but I could submit to this if you're looking for someone. Because the specifications that we're asking for was a male, Christian, brown eyes for some reason. I don't know what else is said, but I was like, yeah, that I fit
Right.
that. Physically, I do.
Yeah.
So I submitted, and as soon as I got home, I sent in a tape.
Hmm.
A couple of days later, they called me, and it was Ronnie, our CD, our director at the time,
Hmm.
Ruthie Grumby,
Right.
and Oscar,
Right. Right. Of course.
and myself and Ruben.
Uh-huh.
And they were, I felt like it was a firing squad, I was like, whoa, because it was a callback and they wanted me to go through that again and redo the monologue. And an hour later, they called me. And I mean, right after we ended the call, an hour later, I said, well, okay, that was fun. That callback was fun. I haven't had many callbacks. Cool. And I get an email from Ronnie saying,
You're
we'd
the
like to
guy.
offer you the part. And at first I go, hey, all right, I got the part. And then I thought, I got the part.
Yeah.
I'm playing
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Oh my God, what a huge, because I had asked God, I said, God, send me a role that's meaningful, that's
Right.
impactful, something, I'm a huge fan of The Chosen, and I keep watching Jonathan Rumi and the weight of that responsibility, and how he's handled it so well, and all the other actors around him and that story, and how Dallas has developed that whole thing, and I'm sitting there going, wow, what a, well, he's already playing Jesus, so okay, cool. But man, and then God says, "Okay, you asked, and what did Paul say? Knock on every door, ask and you'll receive." Uh, I asked, and I got this huge, monumental part that is almost. At first, it was overwhelming because after I realized what had just happened, I started shaking, and I prayed with my wife, and I thank God for the role. But for the next few days, I was like, I'm playing Paul. I need help. I'm gonna call my I'm gonna call my pastor. Hey, Greg, are you open this week? I need to talk to you. And he's the
Yeah.
first one that I told, bro. I'm in a TV series about Paul. And Lauren, what service, what pastor, what church, what Sunday morning doesn't ever mention something about Paul?
Right.
Something from Romans, Corinthians, Ephesians, anything. Every church
Mhm.
at any moment on Sundays is talking about something that Paul
Come
said.
on.
So Greg said, "Yeah, I want to give you a book." Pulls it out of the shelf. Here, and it was a book written by a guy that used to be the director at the Dallas Theological
Uh-huh.
Seminary, and I dove into that book. So I was like, "Whoa, open my," because it's one thing to read the epistles and read the letters
Right.
and understand what God was trying to tell us through Paul. It's another thing to see what a historian has written about the man through archaeological research and other documents that are out there that are not in the Bible. And they're still historic and they're still truthful.
Right.
So I dive into his personality, and I go into Amazon and I pick up another book, and then I pick
Mhm.
up another book, and I start diving into this guy, and it has become a personal growth thing for me because my spiritual life was probably not very um, on fire. I
Yeah.
wasn't really into the word, but getting this role pulled me in. It was God. I don't. At one point when sometimes you don't know if the project's going to continue or if it's going to move on. And at
Mhm.
one point, I used to say, well, even if it doesn't happen, at least my growth spiritually has been amazing because I've read so much about a man that changed our Christian
Yeah.
walk, a man that changed global Christianity, a man that was so instrumental in how we believe and walk today.
Right.
So it has been an incredible journey the last year and a half since we first shot that pilot. Um, Paul Paul didn't believe in commas or periods, so he just talked, and talked, right? Endlessly, like I'm doing now. Uh, and so when they sent me the script, I looked at it and I was like, how long do I have to memorize all this? He goes, oh, we need you on set in 2 weeks. I was like,
No
uh,
pressure.
yeah, I think I texted Oscar. I said, are you serious? But anyhow, it was great. It was a great experience filming that week with everybody um, and pulling that off. And the pilot, it's. I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen it. Now that it's in Spanish, it's
People.
reaching
Yes.
numbers beyond. I know beyond what we expected, right?
Yes. Yes.
Beyond Oscar's
I know.
expectations. I mean,
Oscar, we'll have a
he's
meeting and
blown.
he's like, I cannot
He's
believe
yeah.
it.
I mean, 500,000 clicks or views on Canción or whatever. I mean, it's blowing up, and we haven't even scratched the
No.
surface. So it was a 24-minute
Mhm.
little pilot. So it's exciting for me, and to see the potential and where it's headed. So yeah.
Yeah. So you've said a lot. And I'm like, I'm taking all these nuggets. No, I'm not, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just taking all these nuggets in that you're saying because I'm listening and I'm just listening. And I think some of the things I love about you, Ulysses, is that it's like the conversation I had with Brad a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, is like, God chose you,
Hmm.
like out of all the people to play this character, and the weight and but he elevates the humble, and
Hmm.
I think that's the thing that like oozes out of you, is like, you're looking at me like, Lauren, please stop talking about me. And I totally get that. I don't like being self-promoting either. So I understand. But the thing is, it's like the conversation I had, I think it was with Jay William. It's all blurring together now, but
Yeah.
God's elevating his kids right now, and he's allowing them to shine. And the thing that I think that I love watching you play Paul is you make him very relatable.
Mm.
And we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but what's interesting to me for you is you understand I don't know, not just the weight, but the capacity that's there. Because I don't know about you, but when I read Paul's letters, I read it and sometimes I'm like, is he angry or is he
Mm.
happy, or like,
Hmm.
what is he feeling here? You read Galatians and he gets pretty
Oh
testy.
yeah.
He's pretty
You
ticked
you
off.
you idiots.
Yeah.
You idiots,
Yeah.
right?
You
You
foolish.
you
And
you you knew the truth and you sliding back. I mean,
yeah, he goes there.
uh so yeah, the my pastor, Greg, told me, listen, actually, it wasn't Greg. I called another pastor that has retired now, Dave Anderson, and we had a 45-minute conversation because he's home, he's on a wheelchair, and he said, I'll just do this over the phone. So he started talking, and my hand was cramping writing notes because this man is a biblical scholar. I wish I could have gone to Israel or Greece with him when he did those trips
Yeah.
from another church that I used to go to. But anyways, Dave started talking. He goes, listen, his personality, his name changed, but his identity didn't.
Hmm.
So the same intensity and the same personality and the same uh, uh,
Yeah.
zealousness that he had as a Pharisee
Hmm.
transferred to a huge believer, passionate fighter for the Lord. Because as Saul, he was doing it for God anyways. Everything he
Right.
did, he did it for the Lord. He believed that what he
Hmm.
was doing was for God and to protect their way of life.
Right.
So fast forward, post Damascus, and he's now doing it for the right reasons. He's met the Lord. He understands now the persecution that he's been doing and how he's been a really bad dude, but his intensity doesn't change. Um, we were studying the other day at church again. What Sunday service doesn't
Right.
talk about Paul
Yeah.
when he called out Peter? And I had read about that not a few days
Hmm.
before as I was studying, and I'm sitting there in my chair going, "Hey, can I say something?" We have 800 people in our audience, a church and a
Yeah.
congregation, and I'm trying. I want to raise my hand and go, "Great, can I add?" Because I feel like I've read so much about him, but yeah, calling out another giant of our faith and saying, "You
Yeah.
hypocrite." Um, and Oscar, I believe, has the right idea, to communicate his to call out the churches like Paul called out Peter, to
Hmm.
call him out and say, "You hypocrites, you lazy, believers that are sitting on the pews and not doing anything. This is not what God wanted you to do. He's blessed you with so much
Yeah.
so that you can get up
Yeah.
and use your cars." One of my friends the other day was talking about how he came back from a mission trip in Kenya and how he was surrounded by all these guys in suits that have walked 9 hours to come to the men's retreat that they were putting on in Kenya. They
Yeah.
walked
Walked
in
nine
suits, in
in nine
suits,
hours.
in the heat in Kenya, and they got to the church and they were joyful and singing. And the way these people worship is totally different than the way we worship
Mhm.
because they were like live after a 9 hour walk.
Mhm.
And we're asleep. We drive 10 minutes to our church and we sit in our pews with our coffee
Come
cups.
on.
And
Yeah.
Paul called that out. And,
Mhm.
I always joke with my customers at the restaurant. Can you imagine if Paul had a laptop today and he could be online
Tweet.
like you and I, and
Yeah,
he
it could
could
be tweeting
tweet,
and
or he
going
could be
live.
live on
Yeah.
Facebook, or he could address the churches
Mhm.
on YouTube. what kind of, videos would those be? You know, um, and of course, God had him on a mission. So we have to realize that that was the Lord trying to tell the Gentiles and everybody, I'm tired of your idolatry. I'm tired of,
Yeah.
you know, I've overlooked this for a long time, but now you need to repent, like he said
Hmm.
at Mars Hill,
Yeah.
which I can't wait to do that
That
speech.
that's gonna be
Um,
so great. I love that
whatever,
part
yeah.
of Paul. I love because he was so smart.
Mm,
There's been studies that they think, he came from a lawyer town, so
mm,
that's why he talks so much about, more than me. So, but the little bit I
yeah,
know about Paul is like, he was so well educated on all facets.
yeah.
And so his communication was just phenomenal. And I love that when he would say things. And so when you and I read them today, culturally, we're missing out on the richness
Yeah,
of what
yeah.
Paul brought,
Yes,
and
yes,
so I think that's what I'm so excited about this series is
yeah.
because just like Chosen is making all these biblical stories that you and I have read, they do it in such a way that it's relatable and they
Mm-hmm.
add context. So they add dialogue to help give you that context, right? I just got done watching the episode 2 of season 4, and they're at the gates of
Oh,
hell. And how many times have me and you read that and been like, oh, he's
mm,
talking about a theoretical? No, there was like a legit place. And so that's what I
yeah,
love about Paul is that we're going to do that with him.
yeah,
You get to do that. And
yeah.
so I guess I want to take just a moment and pause you because like you're bringing so much good stuff. But I want to ask you what you've read, you study him, but what goes through your mind when you're trying to connect to him emotionally? Like what are you thinking about as you're portraying him?
Well, I'm thinking, what is the thorn on my side? No, no.
I love that.
Everybody always wants to know that, right? Every time I speak at one of our premieres or something, goes, so do you know what the thorn on the side was? He goes,
It's like
nobody does. Come
no.
on.
Yeah.
No. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking of um, a very intense man who when he told Silas, we're leaving tonight, or we're going to the next town, and Silas go, okay, well, let's get a good night's sleep, because no, we're leaving right now. Right now, yeah, yeah, grab your stuff, we're walking, we're heading out. It's not like we're gonna catch a Uber. We're walking right now the next, 25,
Yep.
20, 30 kilometers to get to the next town, because I have to get there. There's people there that need to hear the word, and they need to hear it now. So that energy, that intensity, it is part of that preparation for me, but with the compassion that he had,
Yes.
because here's a man that understood forgiveness and grace because he had lived it in his own flesh. Um,
Mhm.
I wish you had been on set for the filming of the trailer,
Uh-huh.
because when I was preparing for that shot of the 3 days of Saul being blind until Ananias,
Mhm.
Brad, comes and prays over my eyes, and I get my sight back. It's very emotional, because I went to a very dark point of realizing how painful, how much I've hurt you, God. The
Hmm.
realization that Saul had at that moment, of how much he had hurt God. You know, I am he who you persecute, Saul, and realizing, oh no, oh, I've hurt you, my Lord. You know, that, if I don't know if we're shooting that again, or if we're going over. I think we're going to do Damascus in the next episode, or the next one after that, or I don't know exactly where the next script is going. But I after that, I told Santiago, please, when we decide to shoot all the other episodes, I need to be Soul for a few days, and then give me a few hours to switch over to
Yeah.
Paul. I can't
Makes
do I can't shoot Soul in the morning, and then at 4 p.m. there's a call sheet for a Paul scene,
yeah.
because it's too much emotionally, Um, and I think about his life when he's alone with the weight of the responsibility. I think about the fact that he doesn't have a wife to talk
Mm.
to, you know. He was married. I learned that studying, You had to have been married to be a member of the Sanhedrin and be a Pharisee and be able to vote for Stephen's stoning.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
So
that.
when yeah, historians have, I mean, it's believed almost every book I've read that he
Yeah.
was married before Damascus. Why she left, we don't know. Did she leave him before Damascus? He just couldn't put up with the man anymore, or she left him when she saw, wait a minute, you're now now you're one of these people who are part of the way. No, I'm out. And we don't know that,
Right.
but we do know that he had to have been married in order to vote to say, yeah, stone Stephen. That was a requirement for Pharisees. So, but now he's alone. He's living his life alone on the road, just with his thoughts and with the Lord. Think about, what I think about? I think about those 3 years that he went to Saudi Arabia to just
Mhm.
disappear. What happened? God had to reprogram him and talk to him every day, just him and God,
Yeah.
him and God. And imagine, we talk about our quiet place and our secret place where we go and we are just together with the Lord for a few minutes, and they recommend do it in the morning when you get up and have your secret place with the Lord.
Right.
Paul had that for 3 years, 24/7, right? He had a secret place in Saudi Arabia somewhere, just being reprogrammed. The Lord was telling him, "You had it wrong. Let me tell you how it's going to be before I send you back."
Yeah.
And those are the intense internal things that I try to, make about the man, and again, his compassion and his understanding of grace, because he was very loving too. I mean, we read, you mentioned the intense passages on that he calls out the Galatians and stuff, but he also had very loving
Yeah.
uh, words many times throughout the New Testament. I mean, and he loved Timothy, um, and I learned that he he was aware that Timothy had a weak constitution physically.
Hmm.
So when he had a problem, he didn't send. When he had a problem with the church where he needed somebody with a backbone, he didn't send Timothy. He sent one of the other people that worked in his team. Somebody that had a little bit more rougher approach because he couldn't go. So no, you go, but no, not you, Timothy.
Yeah.
He protected him.
Yeah.
And someone asked me last year in one of the interviews, who are your Timothys? And I thought of my three boys,
Mm.
because they're not weak physically. In fact, I can't take them anymore. I used to be able to beat them in basketball. But Joshua's 6'7", and Alex and Eric can dribble around me and shoot. And but but you want to protect your sons. You want to cover them from all this evil, and
Yeah.
even in their 20s or 30s, you want to give them a word of encouragement or advice and say, don't make the same mistake I made, man. Just
Hmm.
turn to the Lord. I didn't do it as when I was your age, or save your money, or
Yeah.
um, don't waste. You're doing so well financially. Put some away. I get that fatherly feeling when I'm thinking about Paul, even though he didn't have children,
Hmm.
and but he had Timothy
Well,
and he
he
had a few
called
around him.
Timothy his son,
Exactly.
and I think what I love listening to you is all I'm thinking about is Paul's such a deep, duplicit man because some people I think would say like when we think about certain people, we're like, well, they can't be intense and just as compassionate. I feel like his intensity was not just in the intense moments because he was passionate about the Lord, but he was also passionate about people
Yeah.
and God's grace. And that's why he talked about grace so much and
Yeah.
justification through faith so much. And he was
Yeah.
all about tearing down, earning God's. I mean, I keep
Yeah.
referring to Galatians. We're studying Galatians at my church. I've just done a Bible, like, I'm all about Galatians. And it's like, he's talking about how we cannot earn salvation. And I think we forget the deconstructing, like you're talking about, that Paul had to go through.
Yeah, we don't, I mean, I don't know if you're Jewish. Uh, I'm not.
No,
Uh,
I'm not.
we're Gentiles.
Right.
You and I are sitting here right now
Because
with
of,
our trust on eternity because of Paul.
yeah.
Because he said, "Well, I'm going to go, and then I'll be the guy that talks to the Gentiles, since you guys won't do it. I'll take care of it."
Mhm.
So forever grateful for that decision. And of course, it was God using him because God knew, well, I can't just, the whole world won't find out about, all this if we just keep it to the 12 that
Mhm.
don't speak multiple languages, that are not Roman citizen.
Right.
I mean, Paul, not only was he good in court because he was a lawyer,
Right.
but he had a citizenship that protected him many times from being whipped to
Yeah.
death, right? But he's still, I mean, I haven't talked to Santiago and Oscar about how we're going to do all this torturing and physical abuse, but he was whipped, 40 minus one
Mhm.
many times, which they said 40 was death, and one time they left him for dead.
Mhm.
And so Jesus, the treatment that they gave Jesus, Paul received multiple times. So I imagine this very scarred towards the end of his life, very scarred, very beaten, very, you know, just things that have healed on his head, and his body is just kind of deformed from all the beating and the walking. And they say he was bow-legged too from walking so many kilometers. And not a great, a beautiful man to look at by any stretch, right?
Right.
Which incidentally, I heard that there was another actor that was cast as Paul that had this beautiful long hair, like yours but curly,
Uh-huh.
and that he turned down the role because he wouldn't shave his head in later episodes. So I'm very thankful to that actor because I don't have to worry about that. I mean, yeah. But anyhow, yeah, for a year and a half that we've been on this journey. I'm sorry that I'm talking so much about Paul, but once I get going about the man, it's hard to not come up with something else about him and my life as has been impacted by his story. You know.
Well, I think that's what makes you unique is that you are just so passionate about him. And even from the moment that I met you, just in a Zoom meeting, we're meeting and I'm just hearing you and you're just so passionate. And I think what people need to hear that maybe people don't know, and like, I don't like, we don't like being beggars, but like, all of us are doing this project because we believe in it so much.
Mm.
It's not because we're not getting paid a lot of money
Uh,
to do this. Like all of us are volunteer right now
yeah.
because we believe in it so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about you, Ulysses, is that you have submerged yourself into Paul. And I think what I love hearing from you, and I've heard from every other actor, is this has changed how I see Paul. This has changed my walk with Jesus.
Hmm.
Um, and I
Hmm.
feel like every single one of us are just saying, like, hey, we're trying to make this story relatable. And we're
Hmm.
trying to make it where you realize Paul was a real man who had real issues and but loved God so much and he was radically changed by the
Yeah.
gospel.
Yeah.
And so you've been hitting on all the things I was going to ask you. So I'm not I think one thing because we're going to have to wrap up soon because I know like I don't know what time it is, but I know it's
Uh,
been going for a while, but you've had so much to say, so it's so good. Um what are you most excited about for the future? Because you have had a chance to be under Ruthie and now we're under Santiago and we are in this midst of getting to kind of rework some things and rethink about things. We're going to be filming in August. I mean, that's that right around
mm.
the corner.
That's
I'm
right around the
excited.
corner. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I should be coming to see you guys also in August and
I hope so.
yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. But what are you what are you so excited about? Like what are I mean, you're excited about playing Paul, I know, but like um I don't feel like I'm doing a good job asking this question, but like you've seen all the sides and you've been working through it so long. Now we're getting to see maybe a light at the end of the tunnel and just
Yeah,
starting
but
this.
yeah, I guess I'm excited because everything that I've see all this stuff that I'm telling you right now is because of reading and learning and studying and watching other actors in the past played Paul and who did a good job, who I didn't like, who I liked, um, and we haven't really put that on the screen for anybody. Any of the stuff that I'm talking to you about, whether it's Corinth or the trip to Athens to deal with the idolaters, or the shipwreck, or Pasmas, or and the prison time in Rome, the letters, none of that has it's been filmed,
Hmm.
and I already read it and can't wait to prepare for those scenes and learn that and see what's. I keep asking Oscar, "Hey, you got a script? I know it's early, but can you send me a script? Can you send me a script?" Just because that's my excitement, getting all the stuff that I've learned for the last 18 months and putting it on tape
Hmm.
and having Santiago and the editing team do their magic and then have people watch it because I we did a promotion in Memphis one time, and I did the Mars Hill speech live for the folks there, and the feedback I got from even a pastor's wife, he said, it made such a difference to see what it would have been like
Hmm.
and actually watch Paul deliver that speech. I've read that speech a million times, she said, but to watch you do it and to see what it could have been like, that was magic.
Hmm.
And media is powerful, I mean, we're media missionaries, right? Is what we call ourselves in another ministry. And to be able to have, I mean, look, Central and Latin America, look at Paul, even though it's not somebody else's voice, but that's okay, I'll take it, and dubbed to Spanish, or have people all over the world get to know Paul because they've never even heard of him or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, we know Jesus, but who's Paul? Okay, well, let us introduce you and have 8, 9, 10 episodes about all this stuff that I've been talking about nonstop without without catching my breath. That's exciting. That's exciting. You can see my excitement when I'm talking about Paul. I hope it comes across in
It
this
does.
Facebook Live. And that that's what I'm looking for the most.
Mhm.
Um, I just real quick. I just uh, committed to a trip in October to go to Greece on the steps of Paul with one of my, not my church, but a church that planted my
Uh-huh.
church, and October 10th, and we're going to land in Thessaloniki and go to Philippi and go to all these places where he was,
Mm.
and if that doesn't wrap everything up for me, I don't know what will. And I told my wife we have to go, and she's gonna come with me. Thank the Lord that made it happen. And there's been a bunch of people that have jumped in and said, here's money. We want you to go. So
Oh, that's
God has blessed us being able to pay for something like that as well.
yeah.
Because our production, we don't have Hollywood funds, so
Mm.
I'm not going to ask, Oscar to pay for that. So I went the other direction and asked for help, and people stepped up. And uh, that to me is a confirmation that I need to be there and I need to check it out and I need to stand at Mars Hill and I need to visit the town of Corinth or what used to be Corinth and just, and maybe go to Tarsus. I don't know. I haven't seen the itinerary, but can you imagine, being able to walk? It's literally called walking the steps of Paul. Um, I hope to video some clips while I'm
I,
there and
I want you to.
send them to you
Yes.
so that you can, so
Yes.
that I can tell you where I'm at and what I'm doing, and you can share it with everybody who by then will be huge fans of Paul the Last Apostle.
Yeah.
But that's my excitement. The future and the things we're going to be shooting and the stories we're going to be telling and the lives that will be impacted by people seeing themselves in Saul
Hmm.
and realizing, wow, God could use me
Hmm.
if he used that guy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I love that so much. And
yeah.
I imagine you in Greece weeping. I mean, if it was me, I would be weeping. And I'm not
Yeah.
playing Paul. You're,
Yeah.
and so I imagine it probably is going to be revolutionary for you. So I'll definitely be praying for you while
Thank
you're
you.
preparing for that trip.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
going to be so good. Well, Ulysses, I don't want to wrap it up. I've enjoyed talking to you so much. And I think the thing that I love so much about every single person I've encountered, whether they've been part of the, pilot all the way to now, everybody's just passionate.
Mhm.
And it just oozes. Every time I've interviewed somebody, it's like passion and passion and passion. And I guess what I want to tell people is like, why would you not want to watch this? Like what
Hmm.
why would you not want to get behind it? And so, Ulysses and I are sitting here today saying, please, like share this. Share this to
Yeah,
your friends.
yeah.
Tag people below. And I I I so strongly, I told my husband when I got approached about all this. I have my own story. One day I'll share that how I even got into this whole thing. It's God 100%. But I looked at him and I was like, I think this is going to change everything. It's going to be another Chosen, but in a different way. I mean, no, you
Hmm.
can't be, no one's Dallas Jenkins and no one is, Jonathan Rumi. Nobody's that team, but God's going to, like, it's that level.
Yeah,
And
I
I
agree.
think
Amen.
it's, yeah. And I see it. I see it. And so, but with saying all that, we have to have people who support us and who make it happen. And it
Yeah.
doesn't just happen. I like, it doesn't just happen. So, as we're wrapping
But
up tonight, go
but we
ahead.
have to remember it's God's time,
100%.
God's timing. We can't rush this. We have to lay it completely at His feet and wait on the Lord, right? So we can spread our wings like eagles, and not get tired once He says, "Okay, now you're ready to go." It'll happen. It'll happen. And Oscar, if you want to, if you want to get a feeling for whether this will happen or not, just talk to Oscar for 5 minutes because he'll say, "Oh, this is," he says in Spanish. I don't know if you've caught him when he says, "Is yes or yes?" He says, "C or C o C," yes or yes. There's no other option here, right? Because he's convinced that God has told him, "I need you to produce this show." And but you're right. We need funds. Right now, I was in Tampa the other day promoting the show, and somebody asked, "What do you need? What are you missing? What are you lacking?" I said, "We have the story. We have the ability to cast great actors
Mhm.
in Texas and Arkansas or wherever we're shooting. We have great leadership. We have very good creative people around us. We have a fantastic team. We just need money."
Yeah.
We need money. We don't have a studio, in Hollywood funding millions of dollars, so we just need funds. So if you're listening, if you're there, if you know somebody, like she said, pass it on and share it with people because you never know who's sitting out there going, "I have all these funds. What am I going to do with all this money?" And they want to do something, they just don't know
Yeah.
how. Well, here's your opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it never hurts to ask. And I think that's the thing is like, we're not being beggars because I'm just with you. I'm with Oscar. God's going to make it happen. I mean, I've talked to Santiago. He's like, God has told me to do this project. I know the Lord has told me for me, Lauren, I'm supposed to be a part of this project. Like,
Amen.
and so we all know we're supposed to be a part. It's just, we are waiting. But while we're in the waiting, we are, putting it out there. And I tell the guys all the time, I was like, hey, there's somebody that God's just working on and they're going to, it just happens that way.
Yeah.
But Ulysses, I've enjoyed our time tonight. I
Me
cannot wait to
too.
see
Me
you in
too.
person. And thank you for just being you. I mean, seriously, genuinely, like, thank you for just being you and being vulnerable and honest and just sharing your story. And
Thank
um, I'm going to be praying for you as you keep going. And guys, thank you for joining us. So, if you don't know Ulysses, I'll share it. I wasn't at the meeting a couple weeks ago. I was on vacation, but we are going to be doing interviews with the production team in the next few weeks. So you've
Awesome.
got Jordan Bradley's going to be the first interview next Friday. I've got Mark Isaacs, and then we're ending with Santiago. And so
Cool.
you guys want to be tuning in. You don't want to miss it.
Yep.
I'm excited about the future. And again, we are currently taking casting calls. So if you know
Yeah.
someone, be contacting us at contactoinsumision.org. And we can't wait to see you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Ulysses, I'll be seeing you very soon. Sounds good.
Bye, guys. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, Lauren. Take
You're
care. Bye bye.
welcome. Bye.